What if I told you that the world's most iconic soft drink was invented by a wounded Civil War veteran who was addicted to morphine? And what if I told you that this billion-dollar brand was almost lost forever due to bad decisions, stolen formulas, and an addiction to change that nearly cost it everything? Coca-Cola didn't rise to fame on a smooth path. It crawled from chaos, passed through countless hands, and barely survived some of its most critical decisions. But somehow, against all odds, it didn't just survive. It became the most recognized beverage on earth. This is the secret story of Coca-Cola and how it came so close to vanishing before becoming the king of pop.
King-size Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling.
There's nothing like ice-cold Coca-Cola.
It all started with a painkiller. The origin of Coca-Cola has more to do with medicine than marketing. In 1886, John Pemberton, a pharmacist from Atlanta, created the original formula while trying to find a cure for his own morphine addiction. After suffering a saber wound during the Civil War, Pemberton had become heavily reliant on painkillers. But he wasn't alone. Post-war America was full of veterans battling the same problem, so Pemberton began mixing ingredients in his lab in search of a non-addictive alternative. What he stumbled upon was a syrup made from coca leaves and cola nuts. Yes, coca leaves, as in the plant that cocaine comes from. He added sugar, caffeine, and a blend of secret flavorings, and the result was something entirely new. A tonic he believed could cure headaches, nerve disorders, and even impotence. He called it Pemberton's French wine coca, and it was originally sold as a patent medicine. But when Atlanta banned alcohol, he reformulated it into a non-alcoholic beverage, and Coca-Cola was born. Quick thought. How wild is it that the world's most famous soft drink began as a drugstore medicine? Think about that next time you open a can. The first sale and the struggle that followed. On May 8, 1886, the very first Coca-Cola was served at Jacob's Pharmacy in downtown Atlanta. It was sold for 5 cents a glass, mixed with carbonated water by the soda fountain attendant. At the time, there were tons of cure-all drinks on the market, so Coca-Cola didn't exactly blow up overnight. In fact, it only sold around 9 glasses a day in its first year. To make things worse, Pemberton was not a businessman, he was an inventor. He struggled to market his creation, lacked vision for its potential, and made a critical mistake that almost destroyed the brand before it could grow. He started selling rights to the formula to multiple people. Different investors owned different pieces of Coca-Cola, and nobody had clear control. The brand was chaotic, confusing, and vulnerable. Pemberton himself was in poor health, and before his death in 1888, he sold off his remaining interest, likely never realizing what he had truly created. Ever had an idea that someone else made big later? Imagine inventing Coca-Cola and not living to see a dime of its success. Enter Asa Candler, the real godfather of Coca-Cola. While John Pemberton may have created Coca-Cola, it was Asa Candler who turned it into a brand. A pharmacist and businessman, Candler acquired the remaining rights to Coca-Cola in a deal reportedly totaling just $2,300. He didn't just buy a formula, he bought the future. Candler understood what others didn't. Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a brand waiting to explode. He began marketing aggressively, handing out coupons for free samples, plastering walls with signs, and building a distribution network to reach new soda fountains across the country. By the 1890s, Coca-Cola had become a household name, but it was Candler's knack for branding that really set the stage. He standardized the logo, protected the formula, and turned Coca-Cola into something people could trust. Under Candler's leadership, sales multiplied. By 1900, Coca-Cola was selling over 100,000 gallons of syrup annually. But just as the company began to soar, trouble was brewing beneath the surface. Imagine buying one of the world's most valuable brands for $2,300. If you could go back in time, what would you invest in? Let's dream big in the comments. The secret formula, cocaine controversy, and legal battles. Let's talk about the Coca and Coca-Cola. Yes, the original drink did contain small amounts of cocaine from coca leaf extract. In the late 1800s, this wasn't considered dangerous. It was actually quite common in medicines. But as public perception shifted and cocaine became linked to addiction and crime, Coca-Cola came under fire. Lawsuits, political pressure, and rising social concern pushed the company to quietly remove the cocaine from its formula by 1929. But here's where things get even trickier. Coca-Cola didn't just remove the cocaine. They also began guarding their formula like it was Fort Knox. Only a few people in the world were said to know the full recipe. The company leaned into secrecy, creating an air of mystique that fueled curiosity and loyalty. To this day, the merchandise 7X flavoring, the secret behind the taste, is locked in a vault in Atlanta. But in those early years, it wasn't just about flavor, it was about survival. Coca-Cola had to adapt or die, and adapt it did. Let's be honest, would the drink have been this big if people knew it had cocaine in it back then? History really knows how to twist things, doesn't it? The bottling breakthrough, and a huge gamble. Up until the turn of the 20th century, Coca-Cola was only sold at soda fountains. But in 1899, two lawyers from Chattanooga approached Candler with an idea: bottle the drink and sell it nationwide. Candler, believing bottling was risky and unprofitable, sold them the rights for just $1. Yes, one single dollar, without any royalties. That decision would haunt Coca-Cola for years. The bottling business exploded beyond anyone's expectations. These lawyers created a national network of bottlers who made millions, while Coca-Cola itself saw none of the profits. Eventually, the company had to claw back control with new contracts and lawsuits. But the bottling revolution was essential. It brought Coca-Cola into homes, restaurants, train stations, and even battlefields. The iconic contour bottle, introduced in 1915, helped fight off imitators and gave Coke a recognizable edge. Without bottling, Coca-Cola might have remained a local drink. With it, they became a global force. A $1 decision changed history. Have you ever underestimated an idea, only to watch it blow up for someone else? This one stings. The Pepsi Challenge, a real wake-up call. Coca-Cola's dominance wasn't always guaranteed. In the 1970s, Pepsi started gaining serious ground. Their marketing campaigns, especially the infamous Pepsi Challenge, positioned Pepsi as the cooler, more youthful brand. They ran blind taste tests that showed consumers preferred the sweeter taste of Pepsi over Coke. It rattled Coca-Cola's leadership to their core. So, in 1985, they made one of the boldest and most disastrous moves in business history. They changed the formula. New Coke was born, and it flopped. People hated it. There were protests. Thousands of letters poured in begging for the old formula. Coke drinkers weren't just disappointed, they felt betrayed. After just 79 days, the company brought back the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic, and the public cheered. Ironically, the whole fiasco reminded everyone just how much they loved the original. Sales actually spiked, and Coca-Cola regained its footing. But the lesson was clear: never mess with something people don't just like, but love. What would you do if your favorite brand suddenly changed your favorite thing? Would you protest or adapt? Sound off in the comments. Going global, Coke on every continent. By the late 20th century, Coca-Cola wasn't just an American drink, it was everywhere. The company expanded into nearly every country on Earth, even landing deals in regions that were once closed off, like Russia and China. They didn't just sell soda, they embedded themselves into culture. Think about it, Red Santa Claus? Coca-Cola helped popularize that image in their Christmas ads. Olympic sponsorships? Coke's been there for decades. Music, sports, movies. Coca-Cola became a background player in every major cultural movement. Their secret? Localization. Coke adapted its advertising, packaging, and even formulas to fit local tastes and customs. That flexibility allowed them to thrive across wildly different markets. Even in war zones, Coca-Cola followed U.S. troops to ensure brand visibility. It wasn't just a drink, it was a symbol of modern life, refreshment, and American influence. And yet, despite the global reach, Coca-Cola remained rooted in that same mystique and simplicity that started it all. Quick quiz: where's the most unexpected place you've seen a Coca-Cola ad? Jungle Village? Mountain Town? Drop your answers below. Coca-Cola didn't become a global powerhouse because everything went right. In fact, most of its history is a masterclass in learning the hard way. The wrong decisions, the lawsuits, the bad contracts, the formula flops. It's all there. But so is resilience. Coca-Cola adapted, evolved, and understood one critical truth. People don't just buy what you sell, they buy how it makes them feel. Whether it's nostalgia, tradition, identity, or just pure refreshment, Coca-Cola mastered the emotional side of branding. It turned a failed morphine remedy into a global empire worth billions. And the story isn't over. Coca-Cola continues to evolve, innovate, and refresh the world, one bottle at a time. If this story fizzed up your curiosity, smash that like button and share your favorite Coca-Cola memory in the comments. Because history isn't just made in boardrooms, it's made in bottles.